Good afternoon. Welcome to the Jon Gaunt Show. It's time to declare a state of emergency in the United Kingdom. And I'm asking the question today, why isn't Keir Starmer protecting our girls and women enough? What's his agenda? This is after the terrible rape by two Afghan migrants, both 117, 115, well, allegedly. The judge is allowing us to name them and talk about them now. We need to discuss this. Keir Starmer is failing, and that's why he's in the picture today with the two scumbags, because he's failing our women. This isn't the first case. It certainly won't be the last. It's time to deter, detain, and deport. But what we need, I'm only talking about illegals, by the way, we need to declare a state of emergency. Why isn't Starmer protecting our girls? Why are these migrant rapists free to rape girls? This terrible case in Leamington Spa yesterday. I want your reaction. My name's Jon Gaunt, and this is live and uncompromising. Let's hear what you want to say. Put your comments in the comment box, and I'll be with you in a moment. Can I also say to you today, sorry the show's at 4. Had to do it a bit earlier. I'll explain later in the show. Footage filmed by this 15-year-old girl in Leamington Spa. It's in a park which I know really well. I used to live in Leamington. I used to take my dog walking through this park. This isn't a Victorian park. It's a kind of more of a country park is the best way to describe it. The River Lem goes through it as well. There used to be a golf course. That's gone. They've now got a place where kids can go on their BMX bikes, if that's what they still call them. But it's rough and wild. And when I say rough, I mean, you know, it's not manicured lawns. It's not that kind of park. There are football fields and the rest of it. It's a fantastic park. That's what I will describe to you. I used to go there every morning, every evening, as I say, walking my dog. This 15-year-old girl was raped by these two Afghans. Let me just tell you about one of the Afghans. He shouldn't have even been in the country. He'd made 4 attempts to get in. On his 4th attempt, he did get in. I want to know, how did that happen? How can he try and do it 4 times? And the girl, 15 years old, she took a video as they were raping her, before and after. Their own defense, sorry, I'm getting quite worked up about it. Their own defense lawyers said that this film, which they showed in court yesterday in Warwick, if they showed it to the general public, it would cause civil unrest. So it hasn't been released to the public. These two monsters, JanJahanzeb, and what's the other one called? Israr Niazal. We don't even know if that's their real names, of course. They basically raped a girl in a park in the twilight. My question to you is this. If their own defense lawyer says the video is so gross, it would cause outrage, why are we allowing these people into our country? They were living in houses of multiple occupation. Now, you know that's what Keir Starmer wants to put most of them in. I say, after what happened and the trial yesterday, surely, what should be happening is, if we're keeping them at all in the country, they've got to be in secure camps. And when I say a secure camp, I mean you can't come and go as you like. Not necessarily a prison, but they've got facilities, these old army camps. They can stay there. It is playing Russian roulette with our daughters, our sisters, our mums even, to allow these men to come and go when they want. But Starmer put them all in hotels. Do you remember the Epping Hotel, the Bell Hotel? How could you forget? And then, well, with that one, they got him in prison eventually. They were meant to deport him. They did eventually after he was released, accidentally. So now Keir wants to reduce the bill, right? Reduce the bill of hotels and hopefully get public opinion on his side by putting them into homes of multiple occupation or putting them in old army camps. Well, communities the length and breadth of Britain are up in arms about that as well, because it's not like they're saying we're going to put you in the camp and you can't leave. They're going to put them in the camp and say, oh, of course you can come and go whenever you want. We don't want to violate your human rights. Well, let's just be clear. I'm not saying that every single person from Afghanistan or everybody who turns up in a dinghy, every one of these so-called flip-flop warriors is a rapist. But what I'm saying is Keir Starmer and nobody in his lousy Labour government can tell me they're definitely not. And that's the problem. They don't even know who those people are. And I've got something else for you today as well. The Daily Telegraph are reporting it isn't just migrants, illegals, perhaps terrorists getting in via the dinghies at Dover. It's now been revealed that they're also getting people to swallow Class A drugs, smack, heroin, cocaine. They wrap them up, basically. I know how they do this. I've seen the films. They wrap them up in several condoms, and then they swallow these drugs. And they're bringing the drugs in, and then they're giving them a discount, the so-called people smugglers. So if you're willing to come in to Britain illegally with a load of heroin down your stomach, then you'll get a discount on the fare. The thing I don't understand, whether it's GB News, the Daily Express, or the Sun, how come, or the Telegraph in this case, how come they can find out what is going on with the migrants? How come they can infiltrate the gangs and the camps and know what these people are up to and get footage, audio recordings, but our government can't? Well, I don't know about you. I'm not buying that. I think Starmer is taking a softly approach. And it's really beginning to annoy me. He is playing Russian roulette, not just with, for example, this 15-year-old girl who they raped in a park in Leamington Spa, but a whole host of other crimes that have been committed. And now, as I say, the Telegraph and other newspapers have picked up on it as well, saying that these people smugglers, are using the illegal migrants to bring in Class A drugs. When is enough, Keir? He hasn't said a word about this. Yesterday, he was too busy kissing Zelensky's ass, too busy making TikTok videos, which were useless, than to actually get on top of this and talk to the British people. Today, to be fair, they've announced a chairwoman for the Muslim grooming gangs inquiries. However, that's taken over 6 months. Are we going to wait another 6 months until the weather gets better to get on top of the dinghy boys here? We could do it overnight. I'm fed up of saying this. All you have to do is put the army on the beach, the navy in the channel. Anybody who arrives from now on, deport them immediately. And if you can't deport them immediately because there isn't time, put them in secure camps till you do deport them, but not in hotels, because first of all, we've got to close down all the hotels, which would deter these people from thinking of coming and that they can get to El Dorado here in Britain. Close the hotels, put them into tents in secure Army or RAF airfield camps. Do not allow them to walk back and to and fro from local towns. This has to stop, and it has to stop now. And there is a way that Keir can do it. Forget all the nonsense about ECHR, although we need to rip that up. We need to have our own Human Rights Act, of course. But forget all that for a minute. Declare a state of emergency, Starmer. Britain is under attack. These people, even the ones who are coming, who are just, well, even the ones who are genuinely fleeing asylum, which is about 5%, but even the ones who are coming to better themselves economically and aren't crooked at all, they're taking the piss. We've got to stop it. The weather will turn soon, and then there'll be even more. These two attackers in the Leamington Park are seen in a separate clip captured by CCTV cameras and released by the cops walking either side of the girl in the moments leading up to the attack. One of them then pushes the terrified teen along with his hands around her in the face of her repeated and loud protests. The Afghan asylum seekers, right, illegals, then force the girl, I'm not going to go into the details here, but you'll understand what I'm saying. They force the girl to perform a sex act on them, despite her, and the quote is, screaming for help. Phone footage filmed by the victim as this vicious sexual attack was taking place on her by two illegal migrants, yeah? The actual footage is so appalling that one of the boy's own barristers said it would lead to disorder if the general public were exposed to it. Both of these monsters, both allegedly 17, but we're not sure, were sentenced to youth detention terms, I think this was the maximum they could get, of 10 years and 8 months and 9 years and 10 months, respectively. Well, number one, that's not enough for raping an innocent girl. It's not enough for raping anyone. And secondly, one of them now, because he's slightly underage, allegedly, wants to be deported. The other one says, oh, I quite fancy making my life here after I've served my time. What does that say about Britain? They were both living in taxpayer-funded homes of multiple occupation in Leamington at the time of this. They were living amongst us. They were living with us. I don't know about you, but I'm a dad of two girls. One's 32, 33. The other one's 30. One of them lives in Leamington Spa at this moment. What are we all meant to feel? I've got so worked up about this overnight. And I think the only way to stop it is for Starmer to have the balls, which he hasn't got, of course, to declare a state of emergency, close down the borders now, and basically say, that's it. That's the end of this nonsense. That's the end of them bringing in drugs. That's the end of the whole shebang. Nobody else is going to put their flip-flops on the beach at Dover, because if they do, they'll be deported immediately or put into a camp for a day or so before they are deported. You know, like the Conservatives wanted to send them to Rwanda, but they did nothing for 14 years as well. They're just as bad. But Labour have to hang their heads in shame. They got rid of Rwanda. And as I keep saying, if people like Patrick Christie's on GB News can get into these camps and knows what the modus operandum is, why can't our security services do the same? Somebody at a higher political level must be saying, don't do this. And if I read another report where a British girl has been raped or sexually assaulted, and the reports say, we can't tell you exactly what or why, we can't tell you the nationality or the immigration status of the offender, I think I'm going to go absolutely mental. This girl, this 15-year-old who says, I don't feel I can go back to school. That's when it really hit me, when she said, I can't concentrate on my GCSEs. She's not even taken her exams, and they've taken away her life. She filmed what they did to her, and it's so gross, this film, you're not allowed to see it. The judge in the case Silvia Di Bertano, lifted reporting restrictions, banning the media from naming the pair, which is why we can now name them. Thank God, that's a step in the right direction. But the barristers for these two scumbags, they didn't want their names made public, and they said it could lead to widespread public disorder. Well, I'm not advocating that, but you sometimes wonder, well, maybe that's all we can fucking do to actually get our government to put our people first. Is that too much to ask? I mean, Donald Trump is now doing this in America, isn't he? He's putting Americans and their security first. He wouldn't care less about the ECHR, and nor should we. If this was just the first rape, you could accuse me of overreacting. But no, I'm not, because this isn't the first. It isn't the first. And the depressing thing, it won't be the last. And when I tell you that one of them, JanJahanzeb, I think his name is, he made 3 other failed attempts to get across the channel. 2 of them, his boat was cut up by the French. Well done for the French for that. But he got through on the 4th try. And then I'm telling you as well, there's this other aspect to this now. Daily Telegraph today reporting that they're not just importing illegal migrants, they're importing drug carriers. They've got drugs in their body. Not every one of them, but even if it's one, how much smack could that bring in? And of course, it's incredibly dangerous to do this. There's been so many stories when these condoms, they break within the system, but they see it as a joke. Oh, no one will follow you into the toilet once you get to Dover, because we're not putting too fine a point on it. That's what happens. You go to the loo, you put a tray under your bottom, and you have a poo, and out comes the drugs. How have we got ourselves in this position, guys? How have we allowed the United Kingdom to degenerate here? And today, just to let you know, it's the anniversary of my mum's death. 52 years ago, 1973, she died, December the 9th at Christmas. It's affected my whole life. I've spoken about this before, but I wonder what Eileen Gaunt, that was her name, what would she make if she came back now, 52 years later? What would she make of Britain? What would she make of it? Is this really diversity is our strength? We came from a working class area of Coventry, from Radford. My mum was just she was a dinner lady walking around playgrounds. My dad was a copper. I've told you this before. How have we allowed our society to degenerate to this? How have working class people allowed somebody like Keir Starmer to be the leader of the working class, the working people? And have you seen him yesterday doing his TikToks? Kissing Zelensky's ass, more worried about the children of Ukraine than your daughters, our girls, our children. I'm almost at the end of my tether, and I'm sure there's lots of other people who feel exactly like me. I'll put this up on this thing. When girls aren't safe, then politics has failed. Is Keir Starmer doing enough to protect them? Well, he clearly isn't. He clearly isn't. Because overnight, he could declare a state of emergency. Because I actually do believe now that we are under threat. Our very way of life. We are being invaded by these men and boys of fighting age, military fighting age. We don't know who's in the country. They all throw their passports away. Is it time, is another question, for the British people to get really angry? And what would I say to my mum? What would I say to her if she suddenly came back? Oh, that's the way it is, Mum. What do you mean? You don't know who these people? No, we don't. I did a podcast a few months ago about me being in the Cubs and going to my local church because they knocked down the church where my mum, when she was cremated, where her ashes are, right? They knocked it down because it had concrete, whatever it was called. It was a 1960s church. If you live in Coventry, St. Nicholas in Radford. And I did a piece about that, about, when we had nothing, were we happier? Bit of a cliche, I know. But actually, I think we were. But look at us now. But we're told, I'm just leaning to one side so you can see him, we're told by people like Keir Starmer that diversity is our strength. Well, it might be. Diversity of legal people who should be in our country, people who we've invited into our country, people who are contributing in our country, but not for scum who come across with drugs in their belly just on the take. I'm sorry, I'm getting a bit too emotional about this. I apologize. What would my mum make of this? And how have we allowed ourselves to get into this position? These two Afghans thought it was okay to rape a girl on Newbold Common in Leamington Spa. Look at that, I used to walk the dog there. Right, that's enough of me. I'm going to take your comments now. We're going to have a discussion about this. But who agrees? If you agree with state of emergency, put yes, state of emergency. Because I think that's the only way we can tackle this. It is the only way. But of course, what he'd want to do, state of emergency, and he'd want to have digital IDs and want to put us all under surveillance. Keir, dear, we've done nothing wrong. All the people that you're letting in, they've done something wrong. Every single one of them. They've broken illegally into our country. Get them out. Detain, deter, detain, and deport. No one should be walking through around. You've just got the road from Leamington Spa to Warwick. There's a huge hotel. I think it used to be a Marriott. It's on the corner of a roundabout called Longbridge Roundabout. You see all the lads there walking into town. I don't blame them. They must be bored out of their tits. And that's what I'm worried about the army camps. We put them into these camps, but they're allowed to come and go. What happens if you put a load of young men together? They start bragging. And they start saying, oh, yeah, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Oh, did you see her in town? Doesn't matter their nationality. That's masculinity. Keir Starmer has failed Britain, but he's mostly failed the females of this country. If you agree with me, please tell me. If you disagree, get on the comments. There's loads of them there. I'm coming to you in a moment. And if you're enjoying the show, press the like button, because all of that helps the algorithm. And that would be brilliant if you could do it. And if you really like what I'm doing, why don't you donate a few pennies, pounds even, just by clicking the $sign, or go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt, because somebody's got to pay for these, and somebody will have to pay for my defense when I end up getting arrested for daring to say we should deport people. I'm not talking about mass deportation, by the way. Mass deportation of illegals, yes, straight away. Let's get on with it. Caroline Clement has answered my question about why isn't Starmer protecting girls, and she's done it in a very simple way on Facebook. She says, because he is a disgrace. Thank you, Caroline. That's brilliant. What else have we got next? Mason's Wildlife, greetings from Germany. The UK is in serious trouble, says Mason Wildlife. You are right. Donald Trump said this. Donald Trump said the whole of Western Europe is going to lose its culture and its traditions if it doesn't get on top of this. If it doesn't value, why don't we value what we are? Why do you think every Tom, Dick and Abdul wants to come? Because it's a beautiful country. It's a great country, the UK, even after what Starmer's been doing to it. But Starmer, you are a disgrace. Starmer, you have failed. And you are failing women every day. Kissing Zelensky's ass yesterday when you should have been giving your views on this. Oh, then he went off in the morning. He'd gone off, hadn't he, to see our brand new world champion. It wasn't even there. The Grand Prix. Where's his priorities? It doesn't seem to be on your daughters or mine. Right, let's move on. Our women and children are being sacrificed on the altar of globalization, says Denise Deacon. Denise, I agree with that. I often say sacrificed on the altar of so-called diversity, because you're not allowed to say this is wrong. You're not allowed to say, well, a culture that treats women like second-class citizens is inferior. Well, it clearly is. I don't want to live amongst people who think people like my daughter haven't got equal rights, or their daughters. Do you? It's about time we stood up and were counted. Annette Locke, well, it looks to me like we are paying a price. They're willing to pay for this multicultural experiment. It's not just about, see, multicultural would be okay as long as we say the dominant culture is Christianity. Have you heard about the teacher today? This is an outrageous story. Basically said, well, Britain's a Christian country. He's up on a charge for saying that. My mum, thank God we had her cremated, because she'd be spinning in her grave. And it looks, as Annette Locke says here, women's rights have been back-shelved. You're right, Annette. You are now second-class citizens in Starmer's diverse Britain, where everything goes apart from the normal. It's an absolute outrage. If Lord Hemorrhoid can go after historical veterans' activities, then a reform government will be compelled to go after ex-PMs, etc., for being complicit in mass rape. It's an interesting point you're making, Nigel. I actually thought that myself today. Could this woman, this girl, not a woman, 15, could she bring an action against the government for failing to protect her? Because they don't know who's in the country. Annette Locke, John, she is a Labour peer. How the hell is that an independent inquiry? Oh, Annette, don't go down this line. Don't go down this line. She's got a long track record. At least now she's talking about the Pakistani Muslim rape gangs inquiry. At least we've now got a chairwoman. Let's get on with it, Annette. Yes? If she is biased, we can look at it then. But just to try and get out of your tribal silo, I'm not having a go at you, but I just think if you fall into that trap, that'll just give Starmer more chance to wiggle out of it. He doesn't want an inquiry. We need the inquiry to start. Not having a go, just telling you what my view is. Julie Rowley, Jon Gaunt, Keir Starmer does not care about these girls or any other British citizen. He might if it was his daughter or family. No, I'm not so sure about that. Starmer seems to have no morals or emotion. This is the views of Julie. Look how he's covered up the grooming gangs. Well, has he covered them up? And keeps trying to halt any independent inquiry. Well, certainly they've dragged their feet, Labour, that's for sure. Same with Jimmy Savile, the one big cover-up. Evil man, as is Tony Blair and his awful wife. Well, a lot of the trouble started with him, Julie. Thank you for your comments. Just talking about that for a moment, did you see Hugh Edwards, the filthy BBC nonce? Did you see him? He's trying to relaunch his career. And there are people who still work in the BBC who are wishing him well. Oh, come on, Hugh, we've missed you. Yeah. Don't worry about the fact you were taking photos of boys as young as 7 engaged in pornography. Don't worry about it. You're the man who told us the Queen had died. We love you with your lilting Welsh accent. This is the sick, sick world of Britain in the 21st century. And of course, the BBC is the Pravda of Starmer's government and being progressive, right? What's happened to them? I thought we had them on the back foot a few weeks ago. They don't care. The establishment just simply don't care about you or me or our views or our children. The rape of Britain is happening in front of our eyes. Can't the victims of the crimes committed against them by illegal immigrants sue the government, John says? Cumbria Mackham. Well, that's just come up in the conversation. I know you probably wrote that before we even got there, but I don't know. I might have a chat with one of my lawyer friends and see what they think, because surely they can, if they've not been protected properly. Because think it through logically. Say you had a hotel and you let somebody into your hotel and they then went around and raped a load of women. And you hadn't checked who they were or whatever, didn't know who they were, didn't have any future address where they were going. Wouldn't you be liable then? But our government are allowing people wearing designer tracksuits, leather jackets, with mobile phones and flip-flops to land at Dover. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you know what I mean. To land at Dover and then not just disappear. We give them a 4-star fucking hotel to live in. Or we give them beautiful army barracks that have been done up that are better than they were when our boys had to live in them. What are you doing, Starmer? No wonder you're red-faced in my picture. You're a pig. That's what you are. You're a disgusting, useless pig. Calm me down, for God's sake. Denise Deacon, has something got to happen to a member of the Labour Party's own daughters for them to act? Seems our children don't matter. Why, in capitals, says Denise. Denise, I don't think it'd matter even if it was theirs. It's not like that. They've got this progressive view of the world. Let them all in. Oh, we're wonderful. Be kind. Be kind. They don't think it through. Lynn Powell. It's because he's a... No, but Lynn, you can't write things like that. You don't know what his sexuality is. His sexuality, as far as we know, is he's heterosexual with 2 children. Writing anything else, you feel free to do that on your site, but don't do it on my page, please. Because I don't want to get closed down for something ridiculous that you're saying. Let's see what happens. It's the same with the allegations about the Ukrainians. Let's see. Try and be a bit more subtle if you possibly can. Craig Ukert, these animals need to have an accident down some metal stairs. I don't know what you mean, but I wouldn't be losing any sleep. Keir Starmer should be made to sit down and watch that video, John, says Denise Deacon. Absolutely correct. John Jacks 4937. I'm not reading out what you wrote because that's the same thing that I just said. Be sensible. They've sent people to prison for hurty words. So don't start making allegations that you can't possibly substantiate. And if you do, do it elsewhere. Don't do it on my Facebook or my YouTube. Please be fair. There's got to be done before they do even more damage. Yeah. So Sandra Partridge, you're basically saying there's got to be a state of emergency. Well, of course there has. Of course there has. It should have happened weeks, months ago. But he doesn't seem to be doing anything. He's too busy bringing peace to the Ukraine, which, of course, he can't achieve. The only way he can achieve peace is if Donald Trump backs him. And Donald Trump ain't going to back somebody like Starmer. It's just not going to happen. So why don't you concentrate on sorting out our country? I gave you 20 tips yesterday. If you haven't listened to that podcast, it's great, by the way. I gave you 20 tips of how to go about it, Starmer. Mind you, the only problem is every single one of them requires a backbone, which, of course, you haven't got, you blancmange. Southport defines Starmer, says Steve Music Johnson 7509. And by the way, these 2 Leamington rapists also threw their passports and mobiles into the sea. You're correct, because we don't know who they are or how old they are. We don't. You're right. You're right. This is a worrying text. Jurai88 says they've created this situation for a reason. Yeah. That's how it feels. But what reason? I'm almost becoming a conspiracy theorist myself. By the way, if you like what I'm doing, I normally do a live show at 6 o'clock. It is from now on, Monday to Thursday. There won't be one at 6 today because I'm doing it early because my mates just got the all clear from the Big C. So in true working class style, we're going out to have a few bevies to celebrate tonight. So that's that. But normally I'm here. So tomorrow I'll be back at 6. And then on Thursday, I always do extra shows at the weekends as well when I feel like it or if something happens. So the best way to keep in touch with what I'm doing is to subscribe to Jon Gaunt TV. Go on YouTube, just type in Jon Gaunt TV. When you first do that, a little pop-up comes up on the screen. It says, do you wish to subscribe? Don't panic. That doesn't mean you have to pay anything. It just means you have to say yes. You don't have to give your email address. Then You'll find out every time I'm doing a new show. You'll be notified. Okay? If you do really like what I'm doing, press the like button. But also, please feel free to donate some cash to keep these podcasts going. $5, $10, $20, $100, whatever you want to do. There's a $ just under the screen. Could you click that, please, and donate now? No one's done it so far today. She's a bit unfortunate when I'm working my balls off here. But also, you can go to a thing called www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt. If you do that, you can donate anything from a $5 upwards, and you get your name on the bottom of the screen. See it? There you are. That's the, what do we call that? The Hall of Fame, the Banner of Fame. Right. Don't go away. I've not finished yet. Let's keep talking. It's the Jon Gaunt Show. It's my podcast. Feel free to join in. Annette Locke says the BBC swim in a swamp of everything vile. Correct. Where are we going next? Let me just, I've got lost within all your speeches. Yes, says Kim Kimber. She wants a state of emergency declared today. What about the 2 in a Bolton flat? Afghans again. I think that case is active, so we can't really talk about it. Don't apologise for being emotional, John. You speak for a massive majority of us, says Sheila Shields. Yeah, well, thank you, Sheila. I do know I'm in the majority. I do know that. I'm with you on that. But they're not listening. They're not listening. This is an interesting allegation. Jewel 88 says the men of this country have failed this country. That's a serious accusation. And then David Peacock, he says they have no intention of stopping the boats. A few weeks ago, David, I'd have said, don't be daft. But I think you're right. And that depresses the hell out of me. Labour and Conservative have done this. Been slowly happening for years. Well said, Stephen Moss, 5295. I'm glad you've said that, because it isn't just about Labour. This goes back years. It's the same with the what do you call it? The grooming gangs, the rape gangs. They all knew about that, and they just haven't bothered. And yes, now it's true to say that in a lot of those councils are Labour or Red Wall councils, and they're scared of losing the Muslim bloc vote, which I never understand, because decent Muslims don't want to be tainted with this filth, do they? Fabian Society, long-term plan coming to fruition, says John T, 68. Terry Simmons says, protect the women and children, stand up against Islam now. It's not about standing up against Islam, it's standing up against Islamists and terrorists. It's not about where I'm going tonight, where they make a great curry and they send their kids to great schools and they all work hard. Don't turn it into racism, because I'm just not with you, right? These bastards treat women as mere belongings to do with what they will. Deport all illegals before it's too late. It already is for some, says Paul Rowbottom. Thank you, Paul. Southport says, get Carter 70. Finish me off with Starmer. I would not pee on him if he was on fire. He's the father of a 15-year-old daughter, which makes it even worse. What an evil man, says Get Carter. Blimey. Thank you very much indeed. Where are we going next? Have you seen pics with Jimmy Fixed It Savile? What are you on about? There's loads of people who've got a picture with Jimmy Savile. I just think all of that's a bit stupid, that there's somehow some massive conspiracy. They did know what he was like. I accept that. And they could have acted quicker. But this idea that they were all protecting, that's just bullshit. Anyway, just try and be a bit more realistic if you can. John Smith, Starmer is complicit for facilitating the unvetted illegals raping and murdering children and women. Well, that's kind of what I'm suggesting today. The time for peaceful protests and asking for help is over. Oh dear. Time for action, civil unrest and disruption. But how do we begin? At the moment, all we do is complain and never back it up. I've had enough too, says John Smith. Thank you, John. Thank you Very much indeed. How does the state of emergency change things, John? Does it give us more rights? No, we'll lose a few rights. But a state of emergency would mean we could then say, Army on the beach, Navy in the Channel, you're not allowed here. Bollocks to the ECH, excuse my technical term, to the ECHR and the human rights. You're getting deported or you're getting put in a secure camp. We cannot carry on, Craig, the way we are. Can we? How many more people do you want to take in? How much more money do we have to spend on supporting them? And again, I must stress that not everybody who's coming in is a terrorist, a drug smuggler, a rapist, a sexual assaulter, a murderer, but it only needs one or two, doesn't it? And we've got enough scumbags in this country without doing that. Would you agree with me today? Terry Simmons, I'm going to ban you if you make one more stupid, juvenile, fifth form comment. I mean, you're the kind of guy who thinks a double entendre is a waste of one and just go for the single with your silly lines about sausages. Deport the lot. We need a Trump in this country, says Sinan 2. I'd probably agree with that. Where are we going next? They need to go home. Enough is enough, says Slapping a Bird's Arse. Thank you very much on YouTube. It's all by design, says Suki2734. He hates us and he hates the UK. I'm not getting, what's this one? Mancunian London. I will read it out. I disagree with him entirely. Unfortunately, John, there's no H in my name, by the way. I think you're confused. Oh, really? Being against the Islam is not racist. It's common sense. Islam will demand Islamic law. You are part of the problem. Shame on you. I'm part of the problem. No, you are, mate. You are. Because you want to just tar everybody with the same brush. And you think I'm the problem? Go on then, off you trot. Go and find yourself something else to listen to, because I don't need you. Roger John, cheers, says Craig Urquhart. What's this one? I'd like to see what's on... See, look there, Oliver Cromwell, that comment. Why have you made that comment? What do you mean? Can you back it up at all? Can you? Because if you're not careful, you'll be going to prison. I'm not saying I'll send you. I'm just saying you're being stupid, being thick, being absolute thick. BMW D8F. Hello there. Hope you're well. I've just shared your stream to my Discord. Well, thank you very much indeed. What would your grandparents say if they could see the state of the country today? I'm saying forget about my grandparents. Think about my mum. My dear old mum died. She was 41 at the time. 52 years ago. God, she'd be 93. I think they'd find the country unrecognizable. I really do. Right, I've got to stop. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for the sensible commentators. Understand when I tell you off if it's, if you're making a crass statement about Starmer, why I'm doing that. Because we're living almost in a police state now. And I'm not going to go down for you because that's stupid. So you can't just say whatever you want. That's not free speech. It's just nonsense. Anyway, shame nobody thinks it's worth donating any money to. But if you do want to, you can send me a super sticker or whatever they're called on YouTube. Just press that $sign or go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt. No show at 6 tonight. I will be back tomorrow at 6. Had to do this early. Going out with a very good friend today to celebrate some good news. And by God, do we all need some good news. So until we speak again, if you've got kids, give them a kiss. Give them a hug. Hey, 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 don't forget to tell them you love them. See ya. Bye.